This person is saying that they had a dream where they saw a person that was made up not of flesh and bones, but of little light spots like fireflies. Can you tell if there's a specific meaning when people see others like that?
Well, you are seeing an astral form, a light body form. You are also seeing it represented in the way of many different dots of light, being that each individual soul comes from an oversoul that contains many different souls. So you're seeing the potentiality of all the connections that that particular individual may have in connecting to other parallel realities, oversouls, and so on and so forth. So you're seeing it from the astral or light body perspective, the spiritual perspective of all the connections that that particular individual may be creating.
And since only part of us is expressed in the physical, when we transition, do the rest of ourselves meet ourselves? If so, why do I never hear of this in the recounts of near-death experiences?
Well, first of all, near-death experiences aren't death experiences because they're going to return. Therefore, they don't necessarily go as far, so to speak, into the spiritual realm as those who actually cross over permanently. So the idea is not that you meet your other self, but that you awaken as your higher self, containing the experiences you had as the physical individual, in the same way that as a child, you don't grow up to meet the adult, you become the adult that contains the experiences and memories of childhood.
Since 1991, you've often mentioned the 330 cycles per second as being the threshold.
No. 333,000 cycles per second as the threshold between physical and non-physical reality.
And the vibration being the difference between third and fourth dimension.
No. Between third, fourth, and fifth. Remember, you are in the fourth dimension. The idea is that fourth density is a higher version of physical reality, which is still the fourth dimension. The threshold of 333,000 cycles per second between physical and non-physical is the threshold between the idea of the fourth and fifth densities, or fourth and fifth dimensions, fifth dimension being non-physical, because fourth dimension can still be physical, and fourth density is the highest level of it.
I see. So is it possible to design a device using 333,000 cycles per second or higher frequencies to communicate with non-physical beings in the spirit realm?
Yes.
Do you want to expand on that?
No.
And this person asks, if I see the time is 11:10, is it a cheat if I stare at it until it turns to 11:11? Is that just my guide who knows I'm a little bit dense at times, getting me aligned for the synchronicity? Or maybe they know I'll pause and think about all of this.
In a sense, all of the above, but I wouldn't call it a cheat. I'd call it a game that you're playing with your higher mind.
Okay. What kinds of sounds help us better connect with others, physical and non-physical?
The ancient traditional Om can do so, and that's why it exists, and that's why it's acknowledged worldwide as a vibration that might represent the kind of connection you're talking about to the collective or other individuals. But again, in meditations, as a permission slip, you might find that another particular variation of a vibration will work better for you. But universally, the idea of the Om can also help. But it's up to you to decide what you're attracted to. Some people find it will work with a different kind of a bell or another kind of a sound. Maybe even the sound of the ocean, or what you typically call white noise, might work better for some individuals. It's up to you to decide what works for you.
If all our parallel lives are happening right now, how can a spirit tell which one is the next one? For example, when someone is given a prediction that says that this individual died and he will be coming back and reincarnating at a certain time, is that realistic or?
Well, it's an expression that you understand. In other words, as we have said, reincarnation is an experience that a soul can create. But it's not that the spirit has to choose, because every individual in a parallel reality has their own soul, has their own spirit. So the idea isn't that there isn't just one spirit that has to choose from all of these different parallel reality ideas or different experiences. Every reality has its own complete set of individuals, including the non-physical ones. But the idea is that someone can say, well, I'm going to have an experience of reincarnation in your year of 2024 or whatever year, because again, that's an experience they are choosing to have within their own consciousness. And so they're sort of simply relating to you the idea of the different pattern of focus and perspective that they're creating or will create for themselves, linearly speaking, in linear terms.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This individual would like to know, how do I get into the gamma state more often?
By following your passion. Because when you're in your passion, when you're doing what you love to do, you're automatically in the gamma state. So follow the formula. It's designed to put you in the gamma state.
Okay, and is the distortion of time a symptom of vibrational acceleration?
Yes, because you are creating your perception of time anyway. So as soon as you change your vibration, your perception of space and time can also shift.
And how do we reprogram our subconscious mind?
To do what?
It's not elaborated upon.
Oh, all right. Well, again, as you change your belief systems, your subconscious mind, which in a sense is the mediator between the unconscious and conscious physical mind in terms of what belief systems it opens up you to, so you can examine them and explore them and so on and so forth. So when you change any belief that has been passed to you by the subconscious mind, then the subconscious mind can also act as a more open filter to allow more belief systems from the unconscious mind to come through for the physical mind to, shall we say, deal with or transform. So by changing what the conscious mind and its relation to belief systems is all about, you also change what's going on in the subconscious mind, which is simply doing its duty of transferring things from the unconscious to the conscious mind. But subconscious mind is more like a pass-through rather than a reservoir. It's the unconscious mind that's the reservoir. The subconscious mind is the valve through which things in the unconscious can pass through to the conscious mind to be examined, explored, and perhaps transformed.
Okay, and how can I tell the difference between a negative belief generating a negative feeling versus old negative energy releasing itself from the system? Or is a negative belief always responsible for every negative feeling?
Well, you've kind of said the same thing, because all you're talking about is a process of releasing negative beliefs that might allow you to feel the negative feelings. So you're talking about a process of knowing that the negative belief created the negative feeling, but are in the process of letting it go, and therefore may feel it temporarily until you truly let it go and the feeling transforms. So you're really talking about different phases of dealing with a negative belief that is creating a negative feeling.
But it's always a negative belief that generates a negative feeling whenever you have a negative feeling.
Generally speaking, yes, there may be a few exceptions, but not many. The exceptions would only happen if there is a purpose for processing a negative belief in a certain way.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
So we have lots of great questions from our viewers today.
All right.
So I will start with, do spirit animals give humans clues if they would like to speak to us? For instance, if you begin to see spiders in various areas of your house, is that a message that spiders want to share something with you? Also, when we speak with animals spiritually, are we speaking to the totem spirit of the species or an individual?
All of this depends on the intention of the message and the form of the communication and the need to transmit certain information. So it can be a representation of a totem energy of that animal spiritually. It can be an individual conversation. It's not necessarily true that a certain kind of animal showing up over and over again necessarily means that that particular type of animal wants to communicate with you. It could be representative symbolically of certain things going on in the consciousness of the human in relation to those particular kinds of animals. So the human has to be investigative enough within the self to understand what the reason might be for noticing some form of connection or communication from some form of animal consciousness. You have to be clear within yourself about why this is happening. So it might be representative of an issue that you're facing. It might be representative of a clear communication from a totem animal. It might be representative of communication to an individual idea that you have yet to consider. It could be many different things. So clarity within the self about why this is happening as it relates to the issues you may be facing in your life, the challenges you may be going through, is necessary to discern what that form of communication might be all about.
Is that also something where if you think about the animal, especially if you encounter it, and you go into that resonance with its consciousness and see what kind of information it gives you, because whatever you receive will be relevant in some way because it's coming through the animal and through your higher self, right?
Well, yes, but again, it could simply be not so much that the animal intends a particular message for you, but that synchronistically you have attracted something that represents in resonance, in frequency, a certain idea or issue that you need to look at. So in other words, you could be calling forth a particular animal that is more than willing to reflect something to you, not that they necessarily originally or initially had an intention of communicating a message to you.
Right. So you're manifesting that, and then you have the ability to tune into that consciousness and see what is reflected back to you by their particular viewpoint of reality.
Yes, or tuning into your own consciousness to understand what that particular animal symbolizes for you.
Right. So it can be so rich.
Oh, yes.
How did the Sasquatch evolve to be so multidimensional, acquiring slipwalking and other high vibrational skills? I don't know of any other animal or plant that it's evolved to have those traits. And I'm wondering, is it I don't know about other creatures who have evolved like that, or is there something special about Sasquatch?
Well, there is, in a sense, something special about the idea of Sasquatch being the original hominid form that evolved on your planet. Now, you already have heard us talk about how cats can see into other dimensions, dogs can see spirits, and so on and so forth. Well, because it's more connected to nature, the Sasquatch hominid already had these abilities and was able, because they are a hominid, to push them with thought processes into a different form of recognition, recognizing parallel realities more clearly, and learning over time how to identify with those parallel realities so strongly, or other dimensions so strongly, that they began to shift into them just by the focus that they concentrated on with regard to their relationship to those particular dimensions or parallel realities, which the animals don't need to do per se. Although there are some animals that can slip in out of other dimensions from time to time. Some insects have this ability, some mammals have this ability, though it's relatively rare because it's relatively unnecessary for them to do so. However, hominids, being a little bit different in the sense of being the foundation of Homo sapiens, had the ability to contemplate certain things and focus on certain other dimensional or parallel realities they were perceiving with their natural abilities. And so in focusing that way, gave themselves the ability to actually shift in directions that most animals don't need to.
It's very interesting.
The dimension, most often, that the Sasquatch will shift into, in their own language, is called shunyata, which means emptiness. It is a empty dimension in a sense, not that there isn't something in it, not that there isn't a landscape, but the idea is that it is a place of calm, a place of peace, where nothing else really exists except natural formations and the Sasquatch who are able to visit it. Shunyata, emptiness, peace.
Thank you.
Yes.
In much of the warmer climates of Earth, there seemed to be a constant background sound of insects. Is there a deeper meaning to this resonance that surrounds us? Are we allowing this symphony of sound to impact us individually and collectively in ways that we're not aware of? And can you share how it's impacting us?
Yes, no pun intended, or maybe a pun intended, but a lot of the vibrations of insects that envelop you kind of act like a cocoon, or creating a bubble reality frequency that can help attune you not only to insect consciousness, but also to the idea of global consciousness, and also the idea of natural consciousness, communing with the earth. And the vibration can act as an isolation medium to tune out the things that are inconsequential to you at that moment and allow you more efficacy at tuning into other conscious levels, other realities, so on and so forth. So you can take advantage by tuning into that vibration and letting it sort of transport you in a way to other focuses, other levels of consciousness and other perspectives.
Sort of like being surrounded by a buzz. And also the idea that when insects are communicating, is it like on Star Trek where it can actually, if you slow it down enough, you would be able to pick up more information about what's being said?
Possibly. It depends upon the form of communication. That may be holographically included within it, so it's not that you're necessarily slowing the whole thing down when you match that frequency, but you might be matching a part of it or aligning with a part of it that contains the ability to extract information from it that you would understand, that you'd be able to translate into your own understanding or language. Nevertheless, the rest of the frequency remains and acts again as an isolation bubble to connect you mostly to collective consciousnesses, which the insects excel at.
Right, because they are very much the hive mentality, right?
Yes.
Which is so the individual has a different relationship to the hive mentality. It's much more tuned into what's happening with everybody else.
Yes.
Is that so?
Yes.
Our ability to be very individual, how does that serve us in our particular manifestation?
Because it allows you to express your uniqueness in service to the whole. In other words, back to the analogy of the puzzle picture. Each piece is of a unique shape, but without that unique shape, the whole picture cannot exist.
So we are part of a hive mentality. We just don't necessarily always show our own particular puzzle piece in vibrational harmony.
Yes, the idea again is that if each individual validates the true uniqueness and the true self of each unique puzzle piece, then the whole will serve the individuals as the individuals are serving the whole in a very, very effortless sort of way. It doesn't negate the individual, but it allows both to exist in balance, the whole and the individual.
Would you say that we're designed to be more individualistically conscious, and then we have to really reach out and join the hive on another level, or always be in tune with it and refocus our attention?
In some ways, yes, because then you get to do that from many different, actually an infinite number of unique perspectives, by being an individual that has a unique focus and always reconnecting in different ways to the whole picture. So yes, you are designed to be a co-creator coming from an infinite array of various perspectives that allows creation to expand.
It's very exciting.
Yes.
You've said that the ancient pyramids were designed to assist people in astral projection. So are megalithic structures still in use on other worlds? So are megalithic structures still in use on other worlds? Can you describe one of the more prominent ET megaliths known by the Essassani. And okay, go ahead.
The idea is that that's one of the functions of some of the ancient pyramids, not all of them. It's one of the functions, not the only one, to assist in the idea of astral projection. We've actually shown you a depiction of a megalithic structure that exists on our planet called the Shadok. It's a spiral formation of standing stones and lintels that acts as a gateway and a doorway to other dimensions. So if you wish, you can see this image either in the documentary that was done, First Contact, or an image can be provided and extracted from that documentary that can be shared with all of you. It is called the Shadok, and it is an ancient megalithic structure that is built into the landscape, carved from the landscape into a spiral structure that tunes into various dimensions or locations on the planet. It is an ancient structure on our world.
And as far as structures here on Earth, anything come to mind as being, is it in a sense transformative when you're in the presence of the structure?
It can be. It depends upon the frequencies and what it is you are willing to align with. Many of the ancient megalithic structures and temples on your planet, especially those that contain pyramids and certain kinds of other temples that were built long ago in your history, have the ability to transport your consciousness and shift your consciousness and focus into other dimensionalities and make connections to other layers and levels of not only your own consciousness, but other levels of consciousness belonging to other kinds of interdimensional beings as well.
Can you describe why it is these very large structures, when you're standing next to them, why they impact us the way they do?
Because they give off certain frequencies, certain resonances that are designed to do that. In a sense, it's like taking parts of the world, literally the material of the earth, the stone, and understanding that each unique stone structure and each unique stone material has certain frequencies. So it's like a concert in stone. It's like an orchestration of those different frequencies coming together to create a certain effect.
Yeah, that's very exciting. So it's almost like a telephone system for us, just built right into the earth that we can tune into and access the higher frequencies.
Yes, and built